Hi, I'm Caroline Stocks with Pig Health Today, and we're speaking to Emily Byers, who's a swine veterinarian at Prestage Farms in North Carolina. Emily, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Swine veterinarian, mental, physical and emotional well-being is becoming more of a recognised topic at the minute. What are the stresses that swine veterinarians can face?
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. The entire veterinary community is starting to become very aware of the stresses we face as an industry, and the swine industry has really taken this on in the AASV, and this year, and focus of this meeting is wellness and health of our members. We as a profession, as veterinarians, are caregivers. We tend to focus on our clients, on our patients, more than we do ourselves. So we have a tendency to lack in self-care, just by our nature, because we're devoting so much of our time to our patients and our clients. This can turn into long hours, hard days, stressful situations, dealing with diseases, disease outbreaks, working with producers and clients, getting through situations. And that can turn into very long hours. It can turn into time away from our families, time away from our friends, our social aspects, and life outside of work in general. So there are a number of stresses that we face on a daily basis that, as an industry and as a profession, we need to learn to recognize and work on self-care as a way to help make us more productive for our clients and our patients.
And you mentioned there some of the perhaps more emotional stresses there that people face, but obviously as a veterinarian you're facing quite big practical issues that can be quite distressing. I guess if you're dealing with a disease and it takes over a whole farm, it can suddenly become very spiraling.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I talked about in my practice tip was the emotional piece of emotional wellness, and the ability to understand our emotions and express our emotions and fuel our emotions, channeling them into a way that can be productive versus a negative effect. And one of the ways that I do that, and I encourage people to do, is to work, and this does take a conscious effort each day, on conscious positivity and conscious gratitude. So that can be something as simple as, say a sow farm breaks with PED, for example, and we're already stressed because we have 1,000 other things on our plate that we need to do, but this obviously may take priority of our day and change our course of action. So instead of thinking about it in terms of, oh my goodness, I have all this stuff that I need to be doing, I have to go help this farm with PED, I don't want to do it, I don't want to go and deal with this, I don't have time for this right now. Instead of allowing your mind to go into that hole, look at it as an opportunity for positivity and gratitude, where, hey, I'm a veterinarian. Today I have the opportunity to put my education to work. I have the opportunity to help people. This is a bad event. It's a bad disease, but these people may not know how to do what needs to be done, and I have the privilege and the opportunity to go help them. So it's amazing, and there's plenty of research out there that shows the power of positivity and positive thinking, and that when you make that a daily habit in your life of positive thoughts, quality of life improves. So that's one way for emotional wellness that I recommended in my practice tip, is thinking positive and taking those negative situations, and instead of seeing challenges, seeing opportunities.
You mentioned there that feeling of obligation. Does that perhaps put younger vets more at risk, as if they're at the start of their career and they're thinking, right, I've got to go out and do this and I've got to really prove myself? Does it affect younger veterinarians more, or is it just across the field?
Absolutely, I think it certainly can, and we're seeing that in our profession. We're seeing that in our industry. Dr. Bill Hollis just spoke about in his session that our retention of young veterinarians past 5 years is something that's potentially concerning. We do have the tendency to burn out young veterinarians, this lifestyle can do it. So it's something we need to take a look at.
And is it more likely to affect men rather than women, or is it anybody?
It can be anybody. It can be anybody. I'm not sure of the numbers right off the top of my head, but AVMA published a study recently that looked at mental wellness and mental well-being of veterinarians, and they found that the proportion was similar, as I recall.
In terms of your career then, what surprised you in terms of the challenges that veterinarians had to face as you've progressed?
I think when you decide you want to be a vet, everyone has the all creatures great and small mentality. Oh, I love animals, I want to help animals. But really, we're in the business of helping people. The animals are our patients. That's absolutely what we're passionate about, what we're there for. But at the end of the day, the interaction between animals and humans, whether it's companion animals or food animals, it's all intertwined. And that includes ourselves. So those are the things they don't tell you in vet school. You learn about the diseases, the bugs, and the drugs. But where we've got to get better as an industry is sending that message that it's about people too. And we've got to learn how to handle those stresses, how to deal with people, a variety of types of people and personalities, and how to take care of ourselves so that we can be the best advocate for the animals that we're passionate about.
Veterinarians feeling that they're facing a problem, is there any advice on the types of help they should perhaps get, or what measures they should take?
So I mentioned in my talk finding your tribe, and I very much believe that it can be different for every person. That may be family, it may be counselors, it may be friends, colleagues. But the fact is that we as humans, we need our tribes. And so I really encourage people to find their tribe. Find the people who are in your corner, rooting for you to be successful, rooting for you to be positive, and reach out to those people, keep them involved in your life. Obviously, when there's ever an emergency, there are entities out there for help, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. There's a wonderful group of support through social media called Not One More Vet that a lot of veterinarians are becoming familiar with. It's a group of veterinarians out there helping each other. So there are resources out there, counselors, doctors, but you've got to seek them.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of steps that people can take individually, how do things like nutrition and exercise, things like that help?
Nutrition and exercise are some of the most underappreciated, underutilized drugs, in my opinion. I talked about in physical wellness in my practice tip the interaction between nutrition and emotional well-being and social well-being. We as veterinarians, especially pig veterinarians, we often catch ourselves saying that good nutrition is the best medicine, and it really is. And that's one of the things I challenge people. We say that for our patients, so why don't we look at that for ourselves? Nutritional psychology is a growing field that's really gaining traction. There's a lot of really good research in the human medical field being done on the interaction between the types of foods we eat and the gut microbiome and the mental health and emotional health. Really fascinating work out there if you have the time to take a look at it. So what we eat really does impact how we feel, how we think.
So what would your final piece of advice be for swine veterinarians?
So my final piece of advice, in the final slide that I showed in my presentation, it was a diagram, and it said, what I thought makes me productive, and it showed the circle completely full of hard work. And as starting out as a new grad, and you asked about that earlier, that's what I thought. You gotta bust it, gotta put in the hours, put in the time, work 70, 80 hours a week to show that I'm working hard, and that will make me productive. And there is some of that from time to time for sure. But what actually makes us productive is a little bit of hard work. And then all these other things that come into play, taking care of ourselves, getting good sleep, good nutrition, exercise, taking care of our body, taking care of our mind and our emotions, and consciously being positive, consciously focusing on healthy thoughts. All of that comes together then that combined with the hard work is what actually makes us productive and what makes us better veterinarians to be able to serve our patients and our clients.